Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers, connecting with makers from all around the world. Here's your hosts, Jamie Page, Chris Cute, and now, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is and wherever you are listening. Joining me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
Cheers.
Mr. Jamie Page.
Hey, how you doing?
I was thinking, do I, don't I? And then, no, nothing jumps out at me, so you get away with it this week, Jamie, despite all the other weeks. And also, Dale, you're back. Why did you came back? Why? What did we do? We must have done something right, but you were here last week.
I get glued to the chair. I've been getting food parcels sent to me by the Red Cross. I thought I need to talk to someone.
So, literally since last week, you've been in your workshop an entire week, just sat there on your own. Right?
That's it. Quietly, you know.
Your
cobwebs forming, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
The wife's in the house going, got a week off, sliding a tray under the door.
Feed, food, stay there, don't move. Don't come in the house. The place is tidy.
Dale is my dog, yeah. Anyway.
Dear. Well, while we're here, welcome obviously to you, to Dale again.
Thank you.
We're going to do, for those of you listening, this is the kind of Dale's proper show. I think, was this the third time you've been on with us?
I was hijacked on a previous occasion when you were being with princesses.
Yeah, dodge that bullet.
Being with princesses, enjoying the cup. No, and last week because I had a little bit of an insight to the copyright and IP story. So, yeah.
Show number 3, but we know a bit about you, Jamie. Knows you fairly well, but I'm guessing a lot of people that are listening don't know you at all. So hopefully this evening we will find out all we can. So if you've got any really personal, potentially controversial questions you've got for Dale, he probably won't answer them, but you know, it's worth a go perhaps. If you're listening live. So also, Chris, do you know who we've got?
And Andy, there's a fire in the kitchen. Away you go now.
Speaking of, anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of Andy, I suspect he's in the live chat. Chris, do we know or do you know, or Jamie even, does anyone know who's in the live chat? Quickly, just to say a few thank yous to people.
Yes, I can quickly run through the live chat. So out in the live chat, we've got Mum and Dad, Dragon Tail Turnings, Mr. Andy Pugh, Mr. AH Bespoke, Karam Hussain, Claire's Crafty Corner, Dave the Wood Barber, AH Bespoke, which is Andy Hill, CDA Wood Turner, which is Dan. Who else we got out there? Let's keep scrolling up a bit. David Jones from Portal Woodworks, Richard Martin, Dale. What are you doing out there?
Nothing.
What if I could's out there? Looks like that is it from what I'm at. Oh, I'm out there and all.
Are you?
Yeah.
Wait, you don't have
You
to.
never said hello to me that's out there either. You just
You don't have
I
to.
know. I just ignored you.
The entire chat, Jamie. We'll be here for another half hour. Anyway,
Just you and I do the podcast tonight, Chris, and Dale and Jamie can just chat to each other in the live chat. That'd be fine.
they can be the character actors. Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Obviously, as we generally do as well, a quick shout out to our sponsors who help us out with the show, and they help you guys out, the listeners as well, because they get to give us free stuff to give to you. And they are Glyn from Yorkshire Grit, the Wood Turner's Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad at Mancrafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, and also Steve Harneal Media, who basically does the website for us, and Jamie takes the credit for it. If you would like to find out the truth behind the website and all about our sponsors as well, head on over to the website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. And I'm pretty sure that Steve puts all the information in there that Jamie's going to take the credit for.
Very true. Very true.
Awesome. Just to complete aside.
In other words, a complete lie. Anyway, go ahead.
just kind of this is a bit. I feel a bit bad now because I've sort of thrown myself into it. I can't dodge it. Let's put it out. But this is sort of a one-to-one-y kind of me and Jamie thing that no one else. So that thing that we were talking about, Jamie, not quite the website thing. We need to get on that.
Yeah.
So everyone else look blankly into the distance. That's fine.
As if Richard couldn't pick up the phone and make a call. Anyway, okay, so great. I guess it was
Dude, I've been on it for months.
It's just a matter of convenience for you and Jamie. I understand, Richard. Just we put up with that. I'll edit that out.
Have small brain, can cope with little stuff.
I'm not editing that out. Anyway, go ahead.
That just became the intro to the show. Probably the title as well.
There's a soundbite worth grabbing. Let's wind that one back.
I'm not editing that out. Welcome to Makers International. Welcome.
So our next, that's a good segue, because Chris is always asking us before the show recently, do we have any life lessons from the week? And that's mine. Yes. Think before opening. Yes. Engage brain prior to cake hole. There we go. Chris, have you got one this week?
Yeah, of course I do. And you'll be happy to know mine is not regarding social media. There's a story behind this, and if you ask, I may or may not tell. But my life lesson this week that I learned, and it's not something new, it's something I rediscovered. Let's put it that way, okay? Keep a box of baking soda in your kitchen. I mean, a lot of people open one and stick it in their fridge to keep the fridge smelling nice, but no, have an extra one on hand in your cupboard. Because stovetop fires really suck if you don't have baking soda at hand, especially if you have an electric stove. Or better yet, you could always just buy a friggin' fire extinguisher, but not many people equip their kitchens with one. But that might be a better idea. But the point is that I'm trying to make my life lesson, and it wasn't actually from this week. It was from a couple weeks ago. And I just thought of it earlier when I started thinking about this today, was to make sure you keep a box of baking soda in your kitchen. And if you want the story, I may tell you, but I don't think you probably need to, because what you're assuming, yes, that happened. Anyway, go ahead.
Before you guys jump in there, this week you're talking about fires in the kitchen. Wow, I can't believe that came up. I was over at Kat's over here, and she said to me, "Goes, I'm going to put the washing machine on. Can you keep an eye on it?" Because I thought I smelt burning plastic a week ago when she's got a wash on. So I'm sitting there, I'm working at the kitchen table, and I'm thinking, yeah, I can smell a bit of burning actually, but I won't get up and look. And I think I can smell burning. And literally 2 minutes later, I look across and I can see smoke pouring out of Kat's washing machine.
That's not supposed to happen when water is involved.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, and there's just that moment where everything slows down. You're like, okay, I'll switch it off at the electrics first. Now that's it. I'm done. I've no idea what to do after this, and just wait for the smoke to clear and hope I don't see flames. And I literally sat there watching this washing machine for about 20 minutes, hoping I wouldn't see any orange stuff licking around the sides. So I just ordered a new washing machine.
I actually made a post on this on Facebook. I said, my option, what do you do? I said, do you try to blow the flames out? Do you turn the oven off? Or you just sit back, make some popcorn, and see what happens next. I mean, I was like,
get your fire station.
The answer to that is help. The answer to that is what I did, which was the first two, and I didn't make the popcorn. But oh my god, that's scary. That's scary stuff, especially when it comes to an oven, because more house fires are started at ovens than anything else. But yeah, that actually happened. And it reminded me that I didn't have any baking soda in my cupboard to throw on it if it happened to have been an electrical fire. Because if you throw water on an electrical fire, obviously that doesn't help much. But baking soda is good. So that was that
reminds me. I must get some more self-raising flour in the week. It's a bit bizarre how these things.
Yeah, flour is not flammable at all. Go right ahead, you dumbass. Don't do that. Do not throw flour on a fire. No,
it's just an oven. Boomy, powdery.
Oh my god. Anyway, that was my life lesson, and everything that you can imagine that was involved with that. Yes, that did happen. Anyway, so that's it. Next, move on.
Dare we ask Jamie for a life lesson?
Yeah, I guess I've got a bit of a life lesson. If anyone has the abilities or the means to order any tools or things you need for the workshop online, do that rather than going to the store, because I guarantee that if you go to the store where said tools or items for your workshop are, you're going to end up buying more than double what you actually need than what you would do if you've done it online. Because once you start handling said tools and products, you buy them without thinking and realise you don't actually need them. So
the precious.
For example, I went there only needing 1 tin of sanding sealer, one kind, and I thought, that's a decent one. I think I'll have both tins, 2 different kinds, and I didn't even need it.
Do you ever go to places like that? I mean, presumably this was Sittingbourne at the Axminster. So it's a bit of a drive. It's like an hour down the road or whatever, and you're like, I'll go to have a look. And I'm sure other people do this. I've done it so many times, and it's mind blowing when you look back on it. You're like, well, I'll go and have a look, make a day of it, sort of thing. And you get there, and you're like, that's not it. I've got one of those. I don't need any of that. And you get walk around for half an hour, and you suddenly realise I don't need anything. But I've come all this way though.
So I'll get something.
Yeah.
And I got 20 quid out of the cash machine specifically to come. I can't go back with that. And you're like,
I could walk around there with a cart by the time I come out of there.
You know what that's akin to? That's akin to making a shopping list and going to the grocery store and forgetting that you're hungry. You forget, because you get to the grocery store and you go, oh my God, I am really hungry. So you get everything on the shopping list, but then you get 50 more items right now that really sound good to you. That's just
There's a sketch about that, Jamie, that just reminded me of. It's literally the shopping is the one, but it's like, while you're out, Jamie, can you get some milk and I need some icing sugar, and you come back 2 hours later and you go, did you get my milk and icing sugar? And Jamie's like, no, better.
But I've got an Xbox, I've got a PlayStation. Did you get the milk and eggs? No, but got a brand new table saw.
Dale, what about you? Do you got anything? If you don't, then it's not a big deal.
I think I've got one serious and one not so serious. One not so serious is don't try to gargle the sound of a cat underwater just before a live podcast. You're in danger of drowning and sounding like
Chewbacca.
The second one is don't change the pattern you're going to cut on your live half an hour before you go live, and then not have the reference picture when you're trying to put it back together. Eventually saved by the fact that your wife's not well and you have to go into the house. Oh wow, it's like the most complicated jigsaw anywhere where they're all just squares. My word, don't do that. That would be a good life lesson. Don't do that.
I cut this up a minute ago and I have no idea what it looks like.
No idea. I'm looking at the shoes and I'm going, I have no idea where these go. I'm going to be here a while.
Which foot is this again? Right? Holy crap.
Anyway. Yes, don't do that.
Because you predominantly scroll saw, don't you? I mean, that's what I personally know you for.
I do on YouTube now. Well, I did start at sort of YouTube was turning, and Instagram was scroll saw stroke building sort of stuff, like more flat work. But I kind of got into my head that I wanted to find a way to make scroll saw videos live. I got into my head, I'm going to figure out how to do this so that most people are still awake by the end.
and that you nailed that.
Most. Keyword being most. Keyword anyway. Go ahead.
That was the intention, sort of thing. So, the stuff that I do mostly wood turning tends to be. I do a lot of rice bowls right now. I'm doing a lot of, door hangers and coat hangers that go on the wall at angles and stuff like that. It tends to be more practical stuff, which is why I bought the lathe originally, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Do a little bit of tinkering around, having a go at, female forms and things like that. But I'm largely, what I do at the weekend right now, because we're doing a big job for some other folks. So I tend to be mostly scroll. So it tends to be having a go, mostly requests, thankfully. Most folks come up with a request and get a thing. So yeah, scroll saw, I reckon 60% scroll saw, 30%, wood turning, and 10% hitting other stuff with hammers.
includes the scroll saw. Well,
Bang, bang, bang. There, it works now.
certainly, I recognise that when I think of you and Maple Tree Studios, I think turning and scroll sawing. And actually, just looking at the screen now, it's like Jamie's big brother, because in that sense, you're very similar.
Jamie's granddad.
Jamie.
Oh no, Jimmy,
See, I was here, and then Jamie just
get to your bed, young Page. Get to your bed right now.
There'll be no pocket money for the rest of the week for you, Jamie.
Don't pass go. Do not collect your $200. Exactly.
Because you and Jamie both, when I kind of think of you guys, Jamie, other stuff obviously, scroll sawing and turning. That's like the two.
Yeah.
Two sides.
Pretty much about it.
Where is Jamie in my head?
He's also got one of them stupid green record power lathes.
Oh, I've definitely got one of those stupid record power lathes. I'll blame you for that one, Jamie, too.
Yeah, I'll be fair. I'm not a fan of record power as a company and a brand. But I will stick my neck on the line. I will say I actually do quite like that lathe, that one that you've got. I used one at Jamie's. I used one at Yandle's. Not a bad.
But as far as it comes to record power, I'm an observer. I've never, but I did see their line of tools on display at the first Maker Central when I went there, and they looked like quality tools to me. I mean, I've never used one, so I don't want to disparage any company without having experience using them. But they looked like they were fine tools to own. I mean, I guess everybody has an opinion, okay? Yeah. Beyond opinions, there are facts. All right, and I don't know the facts, but I could have an opinion. My opinion right now is they look good.
My lathe is record power, and my bandsaw is. They're both 10 years old, and touch wood. I'll leave it at that. The loads of other things, extractors, bench grinders. I've got half a dozen or more of their various tools. But yeah, that's what I think about with yourself, Dale. Is that the scroll sawing and the turning? But with the scroll sawing, you have added to what I would consider the little bit of a twist, because you don't do convention. You don't do that conventional scroll sawing. It's more if you took it into the art world, it's that kind of cool, trendy, Banksy-ish sort of
kind of pop out stuff.
Yeah, and that looks awesome. I'll go out on a limb here. So the technical ability for some of the guys that do the fretwork stuff is just jaw dropping. I mean, some of the stuff that you've seen Jamie do, you just know it took ages, and it's precise and it's hard to do. And even all the more impressive with the fact that he does it on, he's a no excuses guy. He does it in a relatively entry level saw. And some of those are beautiful. Some of those are absolutely beautiful. An awful lot of them are horses and cowboys and oh look, a car. And that's all great and fantastic, and there's a definite market for those kind of things. But I don't want to hang that on my wall.
No, I don't blame it. You know what? Let's see if we can get this. Let's see if we can get Dale, and let's start from like square one, because I think, as many people do know you, and more people could discover you, obviously, and we hope that they do. But let's hear your story, my friend. I mean, how did you get into doing what you're doing? Where did that come from? Give us the backstory, and then we can go on with what you're about today.
How much time have we got? No, I'll give you the abridged version. It's completely abridged version up to date, I think.
So one of those Richard could never do would be appreciated. Yeah.
Oh, right. So yes, right. Shit. Sorry.
See, Richard really doesn't like me. Anyway, go ahead.
I guess it's like, kind of because of where I grew up, kind of thing. I grew up as working class family, all that kind of stuff. Bought my first house, west coast of Scotland. Everything that's in it cost 20 grand. Council had their wicked way with it over the years. Floors were a wreck, all that kind of stuff. So you learn how to use a saw. You learn how to do a DIY because you have to, because you can't afford not to. Moved on from there. Got shipped out of Scotland to China for a while. Came back to the UK, bought a house, same sort of story, buying a cheap house, got to do it up, got to do it up. So kind of having a classic DIYer, hitting things with hammers, learning to work a saw, all that kind of good stuff. And then we bought this place down here in Surrey. Now, the only way we could afford to buy a house the way we've got one down here in Surrey was to literally to buy something that was a wreck, literally a full-on catastrophe. 1914, plaster was all blown on the walls. Penelope Keith, and the people in America will have no bearing on that. So think
I know, well,
the decor was like it belonged in that old comedy show Soap. And you kind of get the era what I'm talking about. And it was just a catastrophe. It had leaks, it had a gas leak when we moved in. So we renovated it. So you've got 5 years worth of on-the-job training. How do you build it? How do you take a house that's a catastrophe and add 182 square meters into our buildings? During that time, I learned how to do electrics. Went and did my 17th library, because I was training on the job and all that kind of good stuff. And slowly but surely, you've still got this. So one of the other side of my sort of makeup is I'm in IT. I'm in IT. I've written software my entire life. So I've got a natural creative sort of hunger. And you design the house and you make stuff in the house and you do all of that. So you learn all this stuff. And then you think, I know, one day I need to make something round, and you go buy a lathe. Long story, same sitting bone place. Jamie's story writ large. Go down to find out how to done something around. Come back with a grand's worth of stuff. Only because I had a card, he didn't.
Too funny.
Kind of went down. Got that. Got into doing the turning. Saw some folks. Watched Nick Zametti and a bunch of other folks on the thing. Joined a wood turning club, went get trained properly, so did all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, kind of had this hankering to do art anyway. So get a scroll saw to allow me to make tenon joints and, and stuff like that better. Wind up trying to make pictures with it. And from there, it just keeps going. Always had a creative streak, and it's gone that way. So yeah, that's kind of the abridged version. So got into it. Literally because how hard can it be? Watch Nick Zametti. How hard can it be?
Maybe the analogy would be I got on the path and just kept walking.
Yeah. That was pretty much about it. It wasn't certainly what I decided to do one day. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to launch my own YouTube channel and do stuff on Instagram. I think that's a splendid idea.
It's part of the path. I do have some questions for you.
Uh-oh.
From the glorious,
from Andy Pugh, are they?
And inquisitive Mr. Andy Pugh. And Andy, this week you'll notice that I
all out Andy.
I said the glorious. I'm not prepared to crown you, but perhaps the British government will change my mind. Anyway, his first question, and he has several here, but I'll give you the first one. How does your day job influence or aid in your making? Or does it at all?
Well, so yes. Interesting. Well, it does two things. Two things are I avoiding like the plague 3D printing and CNC, because I could do that with my eyes shut. I just know it would be like a black hole, and I'd wind up doing stuff in that, and it's like running a printer. It's like printing the documents out. There's no real, there's a lot less me involved in that than meets the eye. I used to write software that interpreted G code to calculate when bits would fail and all this kind of stuff. So I know it very well. So I avoid it like the plague. Sooner or later I'll give in though.
That answers his second question, because he was asking if you would ever consider CNC or that kind of stuff. So yeah, okay. That's two questions down, Andy. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But for the scroll saw stuff, it allows me to create, to visualize the image, the thing I want to make much better. So rather than just taking it from where I'm going to have a go at this, with some of the stuff I do, you've kind of got to have a cutting order. You've kind of got to know what you're going to make a little bit. So it gives you a chance to sit in the office when you should probably be doing some work and sketch what it is you want to make at the weekend, and then work out how you're going to cut it. So a little bit of assists in that respects a little bit. From the lathe perspective, it doesn't really benefit you at all. The lathe is the big breakaway. It's you, the tool, and the wood. But the scroll saw is kind of very much it benefits from my living in the digital world quite a bit.
Well, and Karam out in the chat basically said that he's surprised to hear that actually, Dale, because he thought that would be those kind of things like CNC and 3D printing would be right up your alley.
I can certainly do them, but I don't.
But it's not a challenge. But you don't consider it to be a challenge, and so therefore it's just not of interest. But you do use. I'm sorry, Richard. I'll wrap up real quickly. But you do use computer.
To visualize, to help me visualize what I'm going to do.
Computer imaging. I mean, because when you make your own patterns, you use the knowledge you have in that field in order to do the patterns that you have. Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt.
Helps me visualize. I mean, you can take that pattern and turn it into G code quite easily. In fact, a lot of the stuff works. I mean, what I draw tends to work. You could use a router. You could use a scroll. So you probably get a CNC to do it if you coded it right. But there's no challenge in life. Router and the scroll saw are interesting because there's you, the machine, and making it real. Whereas the CNC just requires, all right, I'll try again. I'll edit it. I'll try again. I'll edit it. I'll try again. I'll edit it. I'll try again. And that's easy. You know, it's
for you. For you. I mean, there are those. Like Claire out in the chat that says, yeah, there you are writing software, and here's me not able to connect a printer even with instructions. I mean, so there is a difference. You have a talent that some of us don't. So if you did decide to do that, it would require a talent. I mean, it's not just, I hear what you're saying, but let's not disregard the folks that do it so easily.
Not at all. I think the people I admire though are the likes of Dave Gatton, who's building the CNC. Who's making the machine and building the machine and creating the machine, and that's fascinating. That's someone from a standing start creating something completely. I can get behind that. Then once he's built it, I'm kind of no longer.
That's kind of where I was looking at it from, because obviously your day job, for want of a better expression, is you're heavily into IT and computing and all the rest of it. So is that part of the sort of, what's the word, the sort of the turn off, for want of a better expression? You know, I work with computers every day. I'm doing this because I like doing it. I don't want to be computing still.
I learned how to play the piano once. But I used to make music in one of my 20s and 30s electronically. You know, and you would pattern these things out, and you build the pattern up inside the sequencer, and you play it, and it sounds perfectly adequate by the time you're done. You're never going to be a superstar, but it sounds perfectly adequate. And the process to get there is try it, it's not quite right, edit it, try it, not quite right, edit it. And it kind of takes away from that. So I learned how to play the piano. I went to piano lessons, learned how to play the piano. You're completely disconnected from the machine. It's just you, your fingers, and an instrument. And if you make a mistake, it's there, it's real, it's in public. It's right out there, and that's exhilarating. It's fascinating. It's hard work. It's real. I guess that's why the lives kind of appeal to me in a kind of bizarre way.
Just going to say that.
Exactly. You know, it's kind of, it bites at that same. Right, I'm going to do this. And this is going to work. And you know, the normal world for me is I can edit it till the cows come home, kind of thing, quietly. But here we are, we're going to do this, and that's quite fun. I think.
All right, so we've covered what you're doing currently, where you've come from.
Sure.
I mean, if you don't mind, let me indulge in. I mean, I don't need your bank account. I don't want to get that personal. But
I do. I need all your bank account details.
But I mean, unless I'm mistaken, and please correct me if I am, I believe you live almost directly north of London, in Britain. Am I correct?
No, so I live in the kind of last gasp of Surrey, first gasp of Kent. So I live.
Where's that located?
South London, near the Gatwick Airport. If you know the UK at all.
I do. Okay.
At the bottom on the right hand side, near France.
Yeah,
okay, that's
not quite France yet.
Not quite France, near my house.
I take it back. You know what? I got confused. It's Richard who's the snobby one that lives in Cambridge. But you live almost. Richard, I'm kidding.
They're clever.
Dude, I love it. You live almost
affluent, well-educated, sensible part of the country. Don't blame me for
whatever. Jamie, Dale, you live actually due west from Jamie. Almost.
Yes, that's right. Pretty much a straight line.
Okay, now
depending on motorway traffic, 55 minutes, 10 hours.
And the English Channel.
And the English Channel, obviously. It's a bit of swimming involved.
Let's not confuse people, Jamie. All right, Jamie lives more towards the coast, but he's directly east of almost.
He's actually thinking about it. He's that way.
Whatever.
Hi, Jamie.
And you came to live in that location. I mean, you kind of told the story, but it was basically you were working in China. You moved to the UK, and then you ended up upgrading. And was it a work reason?
We had a detour. We had a detour through Ohio briefly. So work sort of dragged me around the place.
I apologize.
With the detour. So we went. So left, shipped out of Scotland. Little quiet lad has never really been any further than. Well, he's been to Florida at that point, I guess. But anyway, never really being anywhere. Shipped out to China. There for a bunch of years.
I'm only kidding. I'm not disparaging the United States there. I'm just being a dick. Go ahead.
Yeah. Shipped into China, then eventually shipped back to the UK for a little while. Then we moved to a place called Willoughby outside Mentor in Ohio. So you're kind of, heading towards that part of it. You're heading towards, say Cleveland, kind of heading towards New York sort of direction. Out that way, right on the shows. Was there for 13 months. Back to the UK. Kind of just dragged around the world from there. We moved here.
You couldn't put up with it any longer, and you had to get out, or what's?
How many? I mean, do you know the demographic of your audience? Should I shut up right now?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm looking for an honest opinion, as are most. I mean,
I love Americans. So I love Americans. I love Americans. There's so many wonderful things about being in America. Yeah. But if you're a Brit, and you're trying to live there, there's a few things that just don't quite add up. So it's a bit like, so I often say it was like living in Ohio was a bit like going and looking in a broken shaving mirror in the morning. It all made sense. You could see all the bits you recognized and it all kind of still worked, but somehow it was cracked, It didn't quite make sense to me. Only because I'm a Brit. You're
takes
going
a little bit longer to work out, doesn't it? Just a fraction of there's a bit of delay.
A little bit. But great things about living in the US. Turn right on red. I mean, that's just genius. I mean, you guys have nailed that. Coffee and donuts for breakfast. I mean, this is just, it's like manna from heaven sort of thing. You have some strange ideas about opening hours in pubs, though. I think we need a word about that. They're not supposed to close. That's how that's supposed to work.
Even I, as an American, would freaking agree with that. That whole thing dates back to the Puritans. I'm sorry,
it probably does, but yeah, it was a great, like I said, it was a great experience. I thoroughly recommend anyone who gets a chance to go and spend a year or so in the US, kind of thing. Do it, do it, kind of thing. Do it north, do it in the north. I think I like the north. I'm not a fan of some of the southern states, not because there's anything wrong with the folks, but they're a bit warmer in the summer. And being a pasty-faced Scot, you kind of want to avoid getting burned to death. The further south you go, just saying. But yeah, I thought so. We came back to the UK, bought this place after I worked I came back to the UK. And then took a gig with a company, a McLaren Formula One team. I took a gig there for a few years. That kind of drew us to Surrey, really. And that's kind of the journey from there. So we kind of wind up here because of some blokes and cars. And from there on in, we kind of wind up here.
So the next question has to be, and I don't even know because I don't know if that I would have an answer to this question, but I'll ask it because if I don't, somebody else is about to. Where do you go from here? Or do you know, or do you care?
Oh, so I mentioned a certain, race team sort of conversation, which is really, really kind of, you leave such an environment, which is heavily testosterone fueled. And, you want to be in a space where, you have to win. It's a very different conversation. Life's very different there. Very different there. But I left there with the absolute sole mission of the next organizations I join, I want to join somewhere where it was doing some good for the world somehow. So I'm quite like, you've got to work for certain companies to make money. But what I'm doing right now, as I'm working for an organization that's going to connect up almost 1 million homes in London with gigabit broadband fiber, and it's all the disadvantaged homes, all the super low income places, the social housing. We're going to do that. So for me, I kind of want to give back. I want to be part of that. I want to work for charities. I want to do stuff that helps people. And if I can't do that, I want to buy a house near Richard up in Cambridgeshire or Peterborough with a bit of land where I can hit things with hammers and not disturb my neighbours into the wee small hours in the night, kind of thing. So
that's everyone's dream around there. They just want to,
isn't it really?
They don't have to listen to any neighbours because they're all very strange.
Or if not there, kind of up where Pam from Highland Boxes is, kind of up towards that part of the world. That's kind of the target, to be fair.
She lives up in towards Scotland, if not in, doesn't she?
She does. So my family's kind of split in two halves in Scotland, kind of down near Ayrshire, around about Royal Trim, where they play the golf, and all the way up in Thurso and Caithness, which is just about as far as you can go north without falling in the water. So it's kind of past.
Someplace where you can kind of stretch your elbows and
absolutely. I'll look positively tanned, windswept, and interesting, having been down south for so long.
I don't, and trust me, there are people who wouldn't like that, but I don't know many people who wouldn't like to have their own piece of elbow room. In the world. I mean, there are a lot of people who absolutely love living in the city and would be like totally out of place in the country. But everybody has thought about that and the feeling that you'd get from it. And from a limited perspective, I can relate to that, living where I am now. I mean, I don't have that. I mean, this is not the Ponderosa, okay? This is not a vast property piece of land, but I do have the ability to stretch my elbows, run my table saw at 2 a.m. and know that I'm not bothering anybody.
And you've hit that on the head, sort of thing. Am I going to run the table saw at 2 a.m.? I don't know. Right. I don't know. But what we want is a rundown, so like semi-derelict farm somewhere or mill that I spend 5 or 6 years repeating what I've learned here, with enough broadband to be able to do the odd YouTube video, perhaps I'm fixing this place up. I'm hitting it with hammers and doing all those things. Right, I've done it here. I've had a few bits of training. Right, I'm going to have a crack at it. Let's get Kevin McLeod round and have him stroke his beard and say, "Ooh, they're not going to be in for Christmas." One of those sort of things. And we're kind of we hope 5 or 6 years, and we're going to have a crack at that. We'll see how it works out. The good thing about being in Surrey, with all the work we've done, it's kind of money in the bank a little bit. So if we move further north, for every pound that for every pound that place costs us up there, we're getting a lot more for our money than we would be down here. I mean, down here, a garage, a garage kind of thing costs, 100,000 or something like that, for just a garage space in some parts of the world. Not here, not where I am, but you don't have to go far into London to pay stupid money for nothing, and that's kind of it.
Richard or Jamie, do you have questions for Dale? Because if not, then I have one. I mean, but I don't want to hog this.
Yeah, just a quick one. Boxers or briefs?
Why did I know that Jamie would get that in?
So not briefs, but boxes are a bit too airy. So there's those kind of things that are kind of half between, with something to catch things and hold things up in. I'm the wrong side of 50 now. I've got to worry about these things.
You know what, Jamie? I just realized I don't think we've ever had anybody, and I could be wrong. We'd have to investigate this, and this might be a trivia question in the future to win something. I don't think we've ever had anybody say thong.
Ooh, thong.
Have we? I don't think we have.
No.
The only person I can envision.
I think I've had a few people that say commando.
Yeah, but the only person I can envision that would actually dare to say Thong would have been Bill Lutz, and I don't think that he did. But anyway, he would have done it just as a joke. Anyway, Richard, you got anything for Dale?
And I did have, but I'll be honest, it's so nice just listening to Dale talking and telling his.
Oh heck!
all these-
Wait a minute. Hold on. Richard's saying this. Listen to someone else. That's got
I'm you've almost completely lost because it's just like it's nice listening to Dale. So no, not at the moment, but I'm sure things will come out as the conversation.
And Dale, let me ask you this question. I don't want to know your exact age, but you said you're on the wrong side of 50. Regarding a lot of things that you said about how you'd like to wrap things up with as far as helping people, is it your personal experience? Because frankly, it's mine. Have you noticed the older you have gotten, the more charitable or caring you have become?
Careful, he's going to ask you for money.
No. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to make Dale an easy mark. What I'm trying to say is we spend a lot of times in our 20s, in our 30s, and even into our 40s trying to ensure that we're good. And what I'm basically saying is we are trying to make it all about us because we're trying to better ourselves. But as you get past a certain point in age, you start to think, if you have managed to, achieve whatever goal you have achieved, or even if you haven't, but you're close to you're close to seeing that retirement without having a job could possibly be a reality, your attention tends to focus more on how can I give back? How can I do something that's good? As opposed to when you were in your 20s or 30s. I mean, is that and I'm not trying to look, guys. There's no way in the world the Lord in heaven is ever going to proclaim me a saint. Okay, I'm just not. All I'm saying is my attention shifted in my early 40s away from myself, not totally, but more towards other people. I mean, is that your experience, or have you always had that?
I guess I'm the oldest brother, so I've got three brothers. Sorry, two brothers. There's three. I come from three, three brothers, sort of thing. I'm the eldest, so you've kind of, you kind of wind up with a sort of, you're always kind of looking after the siblings to some extent. So I guess there's always the certain amount of charitability kind of wired into you a little bit. But I guess it was really the experience of having gone through a couple of serious corporates, people who are all about the win and all about them and all about that achievement. It kind of makes you take a step back and go, I'm not sure I identify with this anymore. To your point, I think I'm not sure I identify. I kind of want people to be better I kind of want to leave the world a little better for my passing, a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. If I can, give someone 20 quid close to Christmas so that they don't have to sit at the side of a street kind of thing. They can go get themselves a proper meal, or, go and do a charity walk or something, or bigger, like I'm doing just now, where we're really going to make a difference in the digital divide. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about necessarily things that cost you money. Because it could also be just a matter of fact where you realize you could help by simply setting an example. If people, if people choose to recognize it, you can do that. It's that kind of thing. I'm sorry to ask such a personal question, but I mean, it's something I've noticed.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I would concur. I mean, like I say, the choices of I've been very lucky in the last sort of 10 years, 15 years of my career to be able to choose a path, and you see that choice is being an echo of how you feel. Mm-hmm. I think being an echo of how you feel. So you in life, you think, I want to help. I can do something about this.
Yeah,
I can make a difference. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go and protest and wave a flag or something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a difference. I'm going to help.
I'm not going to put blinders on either. Exactly.
Gotcha. I'm going to help. I don't know how I'm going to help, but I'm going to help. And that could be something as simple as, running some mad lunatic all the way to Dorset because he wants to see the Beard 16, or like I say, doing something like we're doing now.
What made me ask that question was because I hadn't come across a group of people who had that kind of even if it was in the back of the mind thought before I came across the community that we've all come to know today. And I found that it was prevalent no matter how old or how young you were. And that surprised the heck out of me. I was really surprised because I was on the thought path of that doesn't happen until later in life. And I found out that I was incredibly wrong about that. There are people who actually do think and do care and are willing to help. And it doesn't take you to be, on the wrong side of 50 to do that. And people do it all the time.
Yeah, I found that one of the, I think when I was talking to Chris and Nicola from the Blindwood, I mean, I was talking to them about the maker community, and I'm going to be quite sure of myself when I mean it, because the wonderful thing about any community is there's lots of different dynamics going on. There are people being people, there are people being many different things within a community. It's quite easy to try and wrap and paint. In one wonderful, aren't we all lovely? Well, the truth is, people are people, but the majority of the people in the community, I'm privileged to say I feel part of, are grateful. They're helpful. They're straightforward. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter anything at all. Most of them just want to help if they can, and that's great. It's a wonderful thing to be part of, and I don't think people understand that sometimes, just how the little things that folks in the community do for each other that make such a big difference on a day-to-day basis. So I think I understand very much coming from the corporate world, and you join the community. And that's what always makes me feel like, wow, this is great. It makes me so unhappy when I go back to work on a Monday morning and we're back in the corporate world, and then come Friday night or home time kind of thing, you join a live and you watch folk having a great time. Just saying hello to each other, like old friends. I think it's great. It's fantastic.
And you see that in the live chat on this show. I mean, I see it literally I was going to say every week, but when the chat's there, it's mostly in the chat, people saying, example, I'm time for my bed because of the time scale. And then it's just, see you later, bye, have a good week, don't forget, call us through the week. And right at the start, before we even go on, there's all these people chatting away in the ether of the internet, like well before we've come along. I'm sure if we didn't just turn up one week, there would still be people in the chat just chatting away, just doing their own little thing. They were like, "Oh, they haven't even bothered putting the show on. No, never mind. We'll chat to each other."
We'd probably have more viewers. We probably
would.
They probably all muted us.
Yeah. But that's what I said at the start. If no one's actually listening, they're all muted or it's on pause and they're just getting on with life and they're having their tea or something. But what you say, you come from a family of three boys, no sisters?
No sisters.
So exactly the same as me. I'm the youngest of three brothers.
But
what do your
let me qualify something? Sorry, let me qualify just something for you. Just I think it's so important. Otherwise, I wouldn't interrupt. I come from a litter of about 32 of us at the same age bracket. So of the year I was of the born, so there was my mother's brother had 6 kids. My father's mother had 6 kids. So there's an entire splatter of cousins, and most of which, with the exception, so there's 5 boys out of those 32. So experiencing my limited, so the home life, I think, is your point, is very brothers sort of thing. But my word, the broader litter was predominantly young ladies. Young ladies.
I wasn't actually going to ask about the family life, but I'm glad I'm not now, because 32 just
it's a ridiculous number.
I can cope with 3 or 2, but not the 2 together. What do your small mind think little things?
By the way, we're fostering 32 dogs next week, just in case you want to know.
What do your brothers think about what you do? Because I'm assuming that you're not 31 of 32 that are on the internet or do woodworking. I mean, do they just?
Yeah. Well, no. Haha. So the middle brothers are middle brother, right? So you've kind of got to watch the middle brothers. Middle brothers are a unique species. They're a unique species, the middle brothers.
Yes, they are.
They're lovely, lovely, beautiful, wonderful human beings, but they tend to be themselves. And if you jump that one, you go to my youngest brother, of which there's 10 years between me and my youngest brother, and he's a comedian and a radio presenter.
Right, so we'd like to know this
My
person.
life story. I swear to God, you've just told my life story. I am the youngest brother. Exactly there. Whatever. Go ahead.
You know,
He's Chris Cube.
You know, he's Chris Cube. My youngest brother is Chris Cube, folks. It's breaking news.
That's
So that's what happened in Ohio.
That's
why I had to leave. I had to leave Ohio real quick.
Oh, for crying out loud. Go ahead.
Oh, I was only going to say, so like we probably damaged them. So like me and the middle brother, we probably damaged them by exposing them to the young ones and Father Ted and all this kind of thing as a growing up kid kind of thing. Too much Red Dwarf, and I feel we've damaged them, you know, in some respect. To be honest, he's hysterically funny. He's a great guy. He's really easy to find online. It's just Billy Kirkwood, and I'm sure you'll find this long-haired, tattooed comedian sort of thing. You'll hopefully you'll find him funny. But yeah, so me and him spent a lot of time talking when I was going to do this. He was extremely he sort of said, do it. You know, he's got a whole interest in radio and media that doesn't really, you know, if I need to understand how to do something, sounding it out with him does, you know, helps tremendously. It's a very interesting dynamic, you know. So we'll get, if it's in one direction, career direction, he'll come and bounce off of me. But if it's about media and thinking about, if I do this, will this make sense? And we spent a lot of time in the early part of it, just him convincing me that I wasn't mad. And it was worth a crack at it. So yeah, so from that perspective, I guess my youngest brother doesn't find it weird at all. In fact, he goes out of his way to do minor bits of promotion whenever he can, sort of thing. You know, like the odd mention, the odd piece of the odd request for his production company, which you know, I mean, is Poison Apple Productions, folks. I'm counting.
It's a two-way thing, isn't it? That promotion.
I'm counting 2 plugs so far. So congrats. Good for you.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny. So to answer the question very, very quickly and succinctly, middle brother not so fussed one way or the other. Youngest brother thinks it's an awesome idea. Possibly unique in that respect because he comes out of the media industry.
All right, one more question, then we have to move on with Jamie's horrible song, and and also possibly some shout-outs this week. And it's from Andy. His question is: orange, lemon and lime, strawberry, or black currant Jaffa cakes? And what about if the orange ones aren't available? That's his question to you. And I'm assuming there's a story behind that. I don't know that we have time for it, but he wants to know your. I guess you're.
So I'm a fundamentalist. I feel, you know, I mean, I'm a member of the paramilitary wing of the McVitie's fan club, and it has to be orange ones. I think anything else is an abomination unto McVitie's, and anybody that buys them, you know, I mean, should be so made to eat lots of orange ones to overcome your oddness.
I think he knew that was going to be your answer. That's why he asked about if, you know, what if the orange ones aren't available? And I think we found the answer. The rest of them are an abomination. So fair enough. Dale, thanks for sticking with us. Let's we gotta crack on with, because Jamie's got more than one thing to talk about today. So Jamie, my brother.
Yeah. Well, we'll kick it off with Jamie's page.
See, every week I forget to take my headphones off. Anyway, go ahead.
So first of all, I just want to say congratulations to Mr. Jake Thompson for hitting 20,000 subscribers.
Yay! Good for you, Jake. Well deserved. By the way.
Well done, Jake.
And well deserved.
Secondly, just another quick reminder that with Maker Central coming up, obviously everyone's gonna need stickers for that, and I'm actually going to try and get mine in time for Maker Central this time.
Maybe.
So yeah, maybe without getting charged this time as well. And so to get your stickers, you can get a £20 off at checkout price. So you can go to our website at makersinternationalpodcast.com, And on the homepage, you'll find a picture of our logo on the podcast logo. Click that picture; it will direct you to a website, and at checkout, there you get your £20 off. Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's the end of Jamie's page. So on to my shout out. So my shout out goes to James's Man Cave. He made a Union Jack flag from wood, and it was basically a flag challenge that you can make out of basically anything that you had laying around, may it be metal, wood, plastic, literally anything you could find. And he basically got out the old blowtorch and glued up a few slats of wood, and grabbed the jigsaw, and it come out absolutely brilliant.
That was a cool video. I watched that when you sent me the link today. But Jamie, one more thing I think that you maybe have just forgotten that with your Jamie's page, wasn't there something about Miter Mike and a scroll saw project for the Australian fire problem he was doing as a fundraiser?
He's not sent me the link yet. So Miter Mike, as soon as we've got the link, I will. Actually, that's not a bad idea. If we mention it now, and if Mike gets a link before, for when it goes live, it will be in the description, or it will be in the description as soon as we get the link. So Mike scrolled out an Australian themed, koala. It was an Australian themed picture, and he's going to be auctioning it off via eBay, I believe, because we didn't have the facilities on the website to do it. And all proceeds go to the Australian Fire. I don't know what it'd be called.
One of the charities that are out there helping
one of the charities out there helping the guys like rebuild and all that sort of stuff. So as soon as we've got the link for that, it'll be down in the description and all that good stuff.
And one more people, awesome, Jamie. And one more business note here, and it was just asked out, and I actually had it scribbled down as well. So thank you for the reminder, Richard. Is there any news on the quilt from Kat? You have to unmute yourself, my friend.
So we've done the top, or Kat's done the top. I say we. I've done nothing, obviously, because I think I might have made her a cup of tea while she was busy doing it one time. Maybe I ironed something anyway. But what she's doing, you need like I'll apologise to people listening who know about quilting and sewing machine stuff, but she needs a walking foot, they call it. It's like a special thing that does a thing that she needs to do for the thing that she's making. Stops it all ruffling up when when you make a quilt.
She needs a thingamajig for her thingamabob.
Totally, because the current doowacky that she's using on the that she's using won't cut it or won't sew it without it all going. So she's got to get that off her mum, and her mum is digging this thing out because it's her old sewing machine that she's got. Basically, she's got a missing part. So she's got all the materials all stacked up, ready to go. As soon as she gets the thing attached to the where she's doing, she'll then do the quilt. So that's as far as I know about it. And that was a couple of days ago, actually. We actually went over there hunting for this thing. So it is in hand. And I think when she does it, it will be fairly...
When it's done and ready to go and we're ready to announce, then obviously you folks here will be the first to know. All right, moving on.
Do we want to mention how much we actually raised?
Do you know how much we?
Yes, I do know how much we raised.
Go for it.
So after all the PayPal fees and all that stuff, we ended up raising £310.48.
Awesome.
Nice.
So that's awesome.
And that's going to the dog charity, which is awesome as well.
So I'll probably do is I'll put it up to 315 just for argument's sake.
Boy, if you didn't actually know us, you'd think we were good people. Anyway, Dale, we're gonna. Unfortunately, you may know us and kind of dispels. Anyway, Dale, do you have a shout out this week that you'd like to get across?
Do it, yes. A bit different, I guess. There's a guy over in Australia. Has a channel called Danny's Diecast Disasters. I don't know if you guys have ever caught this stuff, but what this guy does is takes all of those little diecast cars that have been abandoned and abused and run over by cars and buried and dug up. You know, it's kind of like a resto show for toys. And he takes them from being complete catastrophes. These are tiny little things, and he restores them and brings them back. And some of them turn out absolutely incredible, and others have to be interpreted a little bit. But he's been doing it a long time. He's just done the Batmobile from a die cast thing from like 1983 sort of thing. It's just that kind of fantastic channel that's been going forever. You just watch and watch and watch one day.
You know, I was not even aware of that channel until you sent me that link today, and I watched it, and you're right. You're exactly right in your description of it. But I automatically, in case you folks don't know in the community, one of the people that is relatively well known within the community is Paul Mayette, and he's just gotten into doing that exact same thing. And so I automatically thought of him. So I copied the link and sent it to him, and he wasn't aware of it either. But I think he's pretty excited to find that channel. Anyway, that guy does awesome stuff, man. That's cool. I like it.
Cool. That's cool. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
Richard, yourself, or would you like me to go?
No, you go, because mine's going to be pretty short and sweet. So
so is mine, because mine really doesn't need much of an introduction. My shout out is it's got to be Peter Brown this week for me, because that was the video I actually enjoyed the most. And Peter Brown doesn't need my friggin' shout out to promote him. I think he's got over 100,000 views on the darn video already. But if in the chance that you haven't seen it, then check out a video. I think he uploaded it last Friday night or Saturday anyway, it was last Friday or Saturday. And it's a video he posted titled "Make a Bowl from Bark." And it's really, honestly, it's worth watching, because not only is it Peter being Peter, which is normally relatively entertaining, but the darn thing came out looking awesome. So if you haven't seen the video from Peter Brown, go take a look at it. It's brilliant. It really is.
Yeah, he casts his dog in resin.
I think you might need to clarify that. Literally,
I'm talking about bark from a tree, not bark. Jimmy, you are such an ass. Anyway, Richard, go ahead.
My shout out this week. I think I've shouted out. It's going to be Jamie Reader again. I think it was a couple of weeks ago I shouted him out, but he's been in the background. He's been helping me out loads with some kind of fusiony sort of 3D printery electronics things in the background. And it's not going to be a video, because you don't have to make every quarter of your life into a YouTube video. I've been working on something which hopefully eventually will become a cordless tool that I like a lot. I'll leave it at that. And it's been involved lots of 3D printing and stuff like that. And literally the guys, I've been on speed dial and just helping me out. And he is on Instagram. I think he's got a YouTube channel, but definitely go and hit him up on Instagram and go show him some love, because he's genuinely a really, really nice guy. So get him a few beers at Make Essential this year.
He's actually just invited me to a 3D printing group on Facebook.
Yeah, 3D printing is kind of his thing. He's also got a forge, so he's a full-on maker in lots of different areas, but not. I'm not sure he's quite so well known because he hasn't got a YouTube channel, like an active YouTube channel. Super nice guy. So that, I think, pretty much wraps up the show. Jamie's just changed the angle. Oh no, he's changed it back again to his face. But show us something again, Jamie.
I would like, well, if you don't mind me interrupting really quickly, I would like to say thank you, Dale, for coming on, and I'll also say congratulations, guys, because I'm only a quarter of the way through my third beer, and I honestly thought this was going to take 4 to get through. So I've got one that's just been getting hot over here. Anyway, Richard, go right ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I think it does wrap up the show pretty nicely into an empty bottle that we can chuck away. Thank you, Chris. But Dale, thank you for coming on. I'm genuinely surprised, because obviously third time on, sort of starting a trend. I can't believe somebody would actually willingly come back on. Or Jamie, did you pay him?
Jamie's good. Jamie's got certain photographs. Oh.
and if I haven't, I can make them.
Awesome. And that is the reason why we like having you on, Dale, because you have got a wicked sense of humour. And as we've all heard tonight, an interesting guy as well. Thanks to yourself. thanks to your lovely wife for letting you come on, because we do appreciate sometimes it's difficult to come out and play after dark. Thanks to all the listeners. If you are still listening, if you're not, we'll say what we like about you. We don't know if we're going to do a free. We're not on Patreon, but we do free after party stuff so that you don't get to pay for, but you do get to listen to if you're here at the time. Who knows? But and who cares really? Quite subsequently. But yeah, until next week or whenever it is, y'all take care.
That's the first time I understood what he said at the end of the pod. Anyway, yeah, everybody have a great week.
It's because you just switch off.
Jamie, you can sing goodbye if you'd like. Go right ahead.
Go on, Jim, sing goodbye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right,
we're again. I thought we were going to get Frank Sinatra there again. Now, the end is there.
There you go. It's good night from me and it's good night from them.
Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
It's good night.
People jumping off buildings, you know?
Let me be clear. It's good night right now.